This is the 3 Arts Workshop, Week 6, and this week of Rhetoric, we're thinking about the 4 master tropes. First, what is a trope? A trope is one of 2 basic divisions in figures of speech. The 2 basic divisions are tropes and schemes, and next time we'll talk about the latter, schemes. A trope is an extraordinary use of word meaning for rhetorical effect. For example, this line from Romeo and Juliet. It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. It's an extraordinary use of word meaning because sun, in its typical use, denotes that big ball of burning gas out there in space. Here, Juliet is being identified with the sun for her beauty. So, this is an example of a trope, an extraordinary use of word meaning. There are 4 master tropes identified by the rhetorician Kenneth Burke: metaphor, metonymy, synecdoche, and irony. Let's go over each. Metaphor states A equals B. One thing equals another thing. Take this example sentence. The sea is shimmering glass. Here, A is the tenor, and B is the vehicle, to use the language of I.A. Richards. C is being identified with glass, and the comparison is made because the sea is shimmering. Metonymy. Metonymy is a little different than metaphor. We say, instead of A equals B, A equals something associated with A. And for shorthand, we'll say A1. He gave his allegiance to the crown. What does that mean there, especially the word crown? What is this A if by A1 we say crown? We're not really talking about the physical object there. Somebody instead is giving their allegiance to the queen or the king, the monarchy. So here, a little bit of a different scenario than metaphor, because the thing is not something entirely unrelated, it's something associated. So the relationship is one of association and substitution. Synecdoche, again, similar to metonymy and metaphor, but a little bit different. A equals part of A. Some part of A stands in for A. I counted at least 100 heads in the congregation today. Well, by heads we don't mean just the heads, we mean whole people, the part standing in for the whole. So this is similar to metonymy, but the distinction is, with metonymy, we're substituting something associated for the thing. The crown is not part of the queen's person or the king's person, but is something related, a symbol. And synecdoche is some constitutive part of the whole. Okay, irony, the final master trope. A equals not A. This is the simplest way of thinking about it. Because of the context of a statement, we have something which is stated at a literal level to mean one thing, but it actually means something else in that larger context. Oh, great. That is the perfect start to my day. This is ironic because it really isn't the perfect start. In fact, what we mean is this is not a good way to start the day if one has broken a drinking glass. By context, we can tell that a statement is ironic. Let's try an exercise. Metaphor, metonymy, synecdoche, or irony. Give us this day our daily bread. Bread here is standing in for something larger, namely our daily needs, those daily necessary things that we need. In other words, Jesus, in teaching us the Lord's Prayer, is not telling us only to pray for bread. He's telling us to pray for all of our daily necessities. So here we have part substituting in for the whole, and that's called synecdoche. give us this day our daily bread means, Lord, give us this day all of those things that we need for today. Synecdoche. I wandered lonely as a cloud. Cloud here, is being associated with I. I was like a cloud wandering in a lonely way. This is the figure of identification between two different things. I am the cloud. That's a metaphor, in this case, more specifically, subset of metaphor, simile. I wandered lonely as a cloud. Here's another good one. Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man. You know, if you know the scene at all, that at this moment in the play, Mark Antony is trying to get the audience angry, and the repetition of this word honorable over and over again in relation to this decision to take the life of Caesar is now becoming increasingly ironic. That is, if Brutus would plan this awful deed, can he really be honorable? Honorable here doesn't actually really denote honorable. At this moment in the play, by the context, it denotes, in fact, dishonor. In fact, denotes insurrection. So we say that this is a figure of irony. A does not actually equal A. Here's the last one. In the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat. Genesis 3:19. The curse of mankind. Sweat of thy face. What is this figure here? Well, we're having here an image of sweat on the brow. It's being associated with the labors of humankind. Really, we might read this line, by the labor, hard work, thou shalt eat. So sweat is associated with hard work. That means we're looking at a figure of metonymy. A equals something associated with A. Wrap it all up. Here are our little mnemonic devices. Metaphor, A equals B. Metonymy, A equals A1. Synecdoche, A equals little a. Irony, A equals not A. What we need to be able to do for the quiz is look at a short excerpt and identify which of the four master tropes it represents.